Hi, I'm Mary Gunn. Welcome to Fun University. Hi, I'm Mary Gunn of Mary Gunn Fun, founder and head professor of Fun University. This is Fundamentals, where I ask the question, or I try to answer the question to I try to answer a question such as, I've never made a card. What the heck is a card about? I don't get it. What's a card? What's a card? Is it a playing card? I don't know. Ace of spades, ace of hearts. I don't understand what a card is. I thought you just went to the drugstore and got to that long aisle and start looking at things and go, well, where's the birthday? Where's the birthday for my husband? I thought that's what a card was. But nope. You, my friends, can make them yourself. And I'm going to show you just some of the basics, some of the things that, cards are not mysterious at all, but they're actually quite simple. Let's go down to paper cam so that we can start our discussion. First thing, as a card maker, most card makers use what's called an A2 size card. It means the card front is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The other thing about a card that if you are making a card, you may not have ever thought about this before, is the parts of a card. You have a front, you have the inside, and you have a back. You also have just a folded sheet of paper. Sometimes the fold's on the left side, sometimes it's on the top side, and if you're forgetful when you're making it, sometimes it's on the left or the bottom. It all works out, but generally speaking, it's either top or right. This is an A2 size card, like I said, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for a base. This is what you do to get there. You pull out your little trimmer. You can find an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be real thick or anything, but it needs to be a little bit stout just to hold up the card, just to hold up and not get all flattened out in the process of making a card. And you turn it so you have the 11-inch side on the trimmer. Put the edge right there at 5 1/2. Hold it down, cut it. And instantly you have 2 card bases to be folded. You can score them, which means you take something and run it along at the 4 1/4, and then that makes it easier to fold. But generally, it's not too hard as long as the paper is not terribly thick. Just to shove it up against a little wall. There's a little bit of a raise there. Shove it up against there and then just fold it over. Voila! And you can either make it a side fold or a top fold. That's not so hard, is it? See how smart you are already. So, cards. This is a basic card maker size, like I said. The thing on the front. Generally, on a front of a card, you have a sentiment, which is just a saying, and you have some kind of design or a focal point that has either 1 or 2 of those things on it. I know when I would teach kids to make cards and never gave them any instruction, they would just start stamping all over any kind of sentiment they want, maybe 4 or 5 of them. 4 or 5 different kinds of stamps too, and I loved every card that they made. But it doesn't quite always pull out to be a great card. So this is what we're going over. So anyway, a front of a card usually has a focal point. Sometimes it has the sentiment on it and a design element as well. Sometimes they're separate. Let's just take a look. Here's one that has a design element and a sentiment right there all together. Here's another one where they're together. There's the design. This is the focal point. There's the design and a sentiment. Now this one has a new twist, and it's just a little background. And that can be part of the design as well. This is another one where we have a focal point, the thing where your eye goes first, but the sentiment's over on the side. There's a little bit of a real quiet background on this one, which enhances the focal point without distracting from it. See how it works? It's all starting to make sense, doesn't it? We're not going to talk about colors or anything else. We do that in labs, but this is just an overall, so you can start thinking about cards in maybe just a little different way. Here we have a focal point set on a mat. There's a sentiment, 2 parts. Generally speaking, when you're going to do a sentiment, you don't want to have too many different kinds of fonts. It gets confusing. This is a very small canvas that we're talking about. So if you just have 2 fonts or less, I think try that before you start going off and doing 3 and 4. Here's another one where we have a little background that's going to be a quiet support to the focal point, which we have right here with this pretty little flower and the sentiment. I like to put the sentiment snuggled into the focal point. Not everybody does. Here's another one. We've added a little doolally here, haven't we? It's kind of a messy little piece of jute. But we have a quiet background, a frame, and a focal point with a sentiment right on top of the focal point. I didn't realize I did that so often. This one gets a little fancier. We've got a background. We've got a little sidebar background for a little more va-va-voom. We've got a focal point cluster with a sentiment attached right there to the focal point. See how it's kind of fun together? And then this one even takes it another step and adds a little bit of distressing white ink in the background to just pull your eye right into that focal point. Also got a little tag, a little doolally. You go to that store with all those cards in it, you put this little piece of baker's twine on it, and they raised the price $1, I tell you. What do we have here? We have a top fold, right? Yep. We've got the focal point right here with a great big sentiment to go with it. Add a little bit of flower to go with these guys, and you've got a visual triangle. This one, the focal point is actually in the background, and the sentiment is right there to say, you will read me, I am important. So the focal point is also part of just the background noise. But it's still pretty quiet with all the same color blues and greens, the analogous colors. And then the congrats definitely goes with the feeling of the card. It's another thing a card front can do. It can start the mood of the reader for your card. This one is obviously very celebratory. They've got balloons. It's wonderful fun. So you get to tell the reader or your card recipient what you're thinking, what you want to express to them. It's to tell them your mood that you want them to experience. Here's one with a focal point, no sentiment. It probably had one. Did it have one inside? Yep, sure enough, there it is inside. Here's another one, a focal point, no sentiment. This is just drawn. I could put a sentiment on here anytime I want to, or this can be, instead of this can just be a note card where I write a note inside. Or I could put a sentiment inside. Sometimes it's pretty cool to be able, if you have something that was hand-drawn, hand-painted, or something like that, just to leave it blank without a sentiment so that somebody can enjoy it just as a little tiny touch of art. So, those are A2 size cards. That makes pretty good sense, doesn't it? Let me show you another size. This is a 6x6. This guy's big, and he is just. This is how you make a 6x6 card. You take a 12x12 piece of scrapbook paper, and you find the bendy side. Paper always has one side that can, when you fold it up, it's easier to fold. And then there's one way. It's just like twins, right? If you had twins, one's going to give you a little bit of pushback. That's this guy. And one guy is going to be real compliant. So you're going to want your fold to be on the side that's compliant. So you twist it 90 degrees. And we're going to put this at 6 inches. Hold it down, give it a slice. And there's that nice compliant folder right there. The bendy side, that's right, Kim. The compliant bendy side. And then you end up with the 6x6 card. Now this one you have to do special postage. It's not going to go real easily. But you've got a lot more canvas to work with here. So say you wanted to work with a great big stamp, or you had a lot of people that were going to sign it, an A2 just may not work. See how much more room you have? Maybe you need a 6x6. Again, you can do a top fold or a side fold, generally on the left. This card was made with craft paper, and it was a top fold. There's the focal point set on a mat with a sentiment. When you have this much room, you can use smaller stamps and smaller sentiments and focal point. But if you do, you want to kind of clump them together so that they're in one place. Oh, thank you, Kim. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's a great tip. It's a great tip to know where the bendy side is. But that's a 6x6. Some other popular sizes if you are going to the store, this is a very popular size, 5x7. I believe that's right, 5x7. Yep, it's a very popular store size, and it takes regular postage, but you can make them also. It gives you a little more room for a little more ability to make interesting design. This one has multiple focal points, but where does your eye go first? To me, it goes right in here. And these are just little supplements. But still it has design elements and a sentiment, as does this one. Design element and a sentiment. These are just little quiet support background noise. These are also in foundation. These are the 5x7 grid fronts that are in foundation. You can find them there and copy them. Another popular size that we have here on Fun University is our little chubby. Our little chubby is a new size in the art world. It's 8x8. So when you fold it, either on the top or the side, it's 4x8. It's a unique size for decorating. This one, however, we have the focal background. We just have some design background. Focal point's right here. It's darker, it's louder, it's making you look at it with the sentiment running across it. Focal point is where your eye is going to go. This is just support. Okay, it's pretty support, but it's just support. And we call these little chubbies. They're also on the foundations. This little guy we call a mini slim. It ends up the front being 3 inches by 6 inches. This is just a fun little size. It fits into a regular size small envelope, and it's regular postage. It's just a 6x6 inch square folded on the bendy side into a 3x6. So you can get 4 little mini slims, as we call them here on campus, out of a 12x12. And it's a nice little size. So that's, you can do a side fold, top fold, or make a mistake and do it another way. I've got, mini slims, I've called them Slim Jims. I think they should be called Slim Jims. That if you were looking out on the internet, you're going to find them called Slim Lines, but I call them Slim Jims. And here are some samples of Slim Jims or Slim Lines. These are 8.5 by 3.5. They're currently very trendy. I think they're not going to last very long personally, but they are 8.5 by 3.5. And so I just take another 8.5 by 11. You've already got one side cut for you, the long side like this. So then you twist it and cut it at 7. You can also save this and use that as for your focal point. Turn it so that this one oftentimes does not fold with a bendy side either. So you may want to score that. See how it cracks? It's not nice and clean. This one's nice and clean. There's no, can't see it too well, but there's some little bit of, it's called cracking. Not fracking, but cracking. And so you probably want to take this bone folder and give it a good crease. All right, so that's what this is. This is also in Foundations under the grid front. And we did this last week on a lesson. So it would be interactive week 2. But it's a cute little, I love the grid fronts. This is an unusual one. This is a Slimline or Slim Jim easel card that I just did this weekend. So it has an extra little fold in it. And it sticks up like that. And then also, these don't think they have to be just cards. This was one of our folders from the September crop 2020 on little folder notebook, manila, and let's see, what manila folders mini albums. And so you can still use the same designs on a little mini album, or you can use them on the side of a scrapbook page, bottom of a scrapbook page. It's all going to work. They all kind of are interrelated. So what do you need to do a card? You need some paper. You need to fold it. You need to decorate it a little bit. The front sets the tone, usually has a focal point, some kind of sentiment, and some design on it. There's usually some kind of margins around. You can have a background that supports the focal point. You can have a background that's paper, that's stamped, that's embossed. That's when we start getting into the huge variety of options. Inside, there's usually a place to write a note, another place for a sentiment. And then at the back, don't forget the back. I did here, but don't forget the back. You can use a stamp that says your name. You can sign it with a little, your signature, your art signature. Don't use your bank signature, but you can use your art signature and the date, and give yourself a little credit. So making cards, not hard, fun. It just takes a little bit of practice, but now that you know the parts that are all working to make a little sentiment, hopefully makes a little more sense to you, and it'll be a little easier. If you have any questions, let us know. There's a lot of card makers on this campus right now. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.